Hello everyone, I'm Nitsahone, and it's Wednesday, so that means it's time for my weekly Crack-A-Pack video. This is the third Aether Revolt draft video. If you want to enter into a giveaway to win all the cards that I open in these Crack-A-Pack videos, which could be mythics or even masterpieces if I'm lucky enough, just remember to comment below saying that you want to enter, and then you'll be entered. So we're going to go ahead and open the pack, and this pack is an Aether Revolt pack, as I said, and we'll go ahead and open it and talk about the cards in terms of limited, what my first pick would be, and so forth. Okay, well, actually, I thought it was open, and then I struggled. There we go. Now it's open. Our first common's a really good one. It is Aether Chaser. So Aether Chaser is, some people argue, the best common period, and definitely one of the best red commons, if not the best red common, and I think it probably is the best red common. For 2 mana, you get a 2 on the first strike, which is already playable in basically any limited deck because it attacks well and even blocks well, but he also makes servo tokens if you have energy, and that's just crazy. So very good. Our first pick so far for sure. Next we have Leave in the Dust, which is a perfectly serviceable card, but I find myself cutting it about half the time just because it's a little too clunky. It is very good against opponents who are really aggressive and like using combat tricks and auras. It's very good against them, but most of the time, you know, you can pick one up late if you want it, and it's just not a great card. So Aether Chaser, still our first pick. Next we have Decommission. A card I'll play in basically any white deck because it kills 2 really important card types. There's lots of auras that are removal spells, and then of course there's also a ton of artifacts because this is Kaladesh. The Revolt is sometimes relevant, usually not. But again, not a first pickable card, a card I will play in any white deck, but I don't want to take one early. Next, we have Renegade's Getaway, which is basically completely unplayable. You know, you can occasionally get people with it where you're like, my guy's indestructible. But what makes a card like this weak, a trick like this weak, is that it doesn't give any boost to your creature's stats. So the best you're going to be able to do is turn a trade into your opponent losing a card, and your best you're doing is a 1-for-1 then, which isn't that good. What you really want to be doing sometimes is making your creature big enough to kill anything if you're going to just be getting a 1-for-1, or big enough to kill creatures that are a lot bigger than it. And Renegade's Getaway does not do that for you. So we're still on Aether Chaser. It's our number 1 pick. Next we have Silkweaver Elite. Not a card I like a lot. I've been a little bit disappointed in Revolt on the whole. Sometimes you can really get there, but most of the time it's not as easy to get Revolt as you'd think. And Silkweaver Elite isn't very good because it's a 3-mana 2/2 with reach, which isn't playable at all. And occasionally it'll draw you a card. If you could always have it draw you a card, it would of course be quite good, but it doesn't, so it's not all that good. Okay, next we have a card that's pretty important in this format, and that is Renegade Map. This card is highly sought after. It's good with Revolt, it's good with Improvise, and it's good with any artifact synergies you have, and it's good because it helps you fix. Sometimes Renegade Map is a first pickable card. I'd be perfectly happy first picking it, but I think Aether Chaser is enough stronger that I'm still going to take it. Next we have Welder Automaton, 2-mana 2/1, which is perfectly serviceable. Plus he has a great mana sync activated ability that can just win you the game in the really late stage. And because he's good in the late game and good in the early game, I like Welder Automaton a decent amount, but not as much as Aether Chaser or Renegade Map. Next we have Lotnu Sailback, just a big blizzard, not much else to say about it. I play it sometimes in my red decks if I feel like I could use another top curve creature that's decent, and that's basically all he is. Next we have Iron Tread Crusher. Just a big vehicle, 4-mana 6/6. This card is better than I thought it was. The more I've played the format, there's a lot of 3-power creatures that can crew this that are around, and because of that, it's actually much better than it looks. It's easier to crew than the crew 3s were in the last set in Kaladesh, and I like it. Not as much as Aether Chaser or Renegade Map, but in an aggressive deck, especially red-green, is where you can really crew an Iron Tread Crusher very easily. Next we have Universal Solvent, another card that's pretty good in this format. Not a first pickable card. You can pick them up late easily, but it's good because it helps you improvise, helps you with other artifact synergies, and it turns into a removal spell in the late game. And those are all things I like, but it is not what I'll be taking here. So out of our commons, Aether Chaser is definitely number 1, followed by Renegade Map. There's not really any other cards anywhere close, but I would take Aether Chaser right now. Next, we have Daredevil Dragster, which is a very good vehicle. 3-mana 4/4, crew for 2, draws you cards once you get to the right stage of the game. I personally would still take Aether Chaser over it because of the fact that Daredevil Dragster, while its effect that draws you cards is what really makes it good. The fact that all it is a 3-mana 4/4 with crew 2, like for a vehicle, that's just not big enough really. The drawing the cards makes it good, and now it'd be my second best pick after Aether Chaser, but I could see taking the Dragster. I think some people would argue you should, but I'm not going to. All right, well, now we have an uncommon that has a really, really good chance of just being our first pick unless we end up opening a ridiculous bomb, and that is Thopter Arrest. It's just one of the best removal spells in this format. It's an enchantment, but it's not an aura, so it doesn't have the weakness that aura-based removal has in this format. But it removes anything, well, not anything, but an artifact or a creature. And that's really relevant. It's a great removal spell, highly efficient. Definitely our first pick right now. Our next uncommon is Servo Schematic. Playable-ish if you're in a improvised deck or a go-wide deck, but not something you should take early at all. Okay, well now we're looking at something interesting. This pack, I said there's a really good chance Thopter Arrest is our pick, but our rare, I think, is going to be our first pick now, and that is Quicksmith Rebel. For 4 mana, you get a 3/2, not great, but it turns an artifact into a shock every turn, and it is very difficult to beat if you don't have removal. It'll just start killing your creatures, start killing you. Very good. Quicksmith Rebel is now our first pick. And to go back, I would rank the cards. I'll talk about my top 3 cards just to remind you where I rank them. But I have Quicksmith Rebel as number 1 because it gives us such a crazy, ridiculous amount of value. After that, I have Thopter Arrest, which is just a premium removal spell. And then we sort of have like 3 different kinds of first picks in this pack, which is pretty nice. And then you have Aether Chaser, which is just one of the best commons and definitely the best common creature in the entire format. So this pack was pretty stacked. And that's not even talking about Renegade Map or Oval Chase, not Oval Chase Dragster, but Daredevil Dragster. So I would take the Quicksmith Rebel for sure. Let me know in the comments what you would first pick. I feel like most people probably are in on the Rebel, but let me know if you're not. Don't forget that you can go to the website 5colorcombo.com, which is a great website for your Magic needs. Put in the code NEEDSAHONE5 in their store and get a 5% discount. Also, if you want to make sure you catch more of these Crack-A-Pack videos and a bunch of other limited focused videos on my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.